Glad to have you back. It's the Business Daily right here on Trust Television. Now we go into our first conversation. Of course, we're looking at the issues around Dangote Refinery. It has been 1 year now, more than 1 year, since that refinery became operational. And ever since then, there have been somewhat of a smooth operation in terms of petroleum production and delivery within and outside the country. Of course, the product may not be as costly as, as cheap as many Nigerians want it to be, but the availability, which is what is more important to Nigerians now, is what we look at and consider. Because usually, when there is festive period, Nigeria tend to experience what we call fuel scarcity. But for about a year or two now, since Dangote Refinery came on board, that is becoming like a thing of the past now. But let's discuss it and some other issues bordering on this. Could have been more like a trade war, internal trade war going on between Dangote Refinery and some petroleum marketers in the country. I'm now being joined in the studio by Professor Kenny Face. He's a chief economic strategist at ECOWAS Commission. He's also an ambassador of London Enterprise. Glad to have you on Business Daily.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
All right. Has Dangote Refinery ended the usual fuel scarcity that we experienced during festive seasons?
I think it's ended the first phase. And there could well be a second phase because, if you are eating with the devil, you have to use a long spoon, isn't it? And I think the issue is who is benefiting from this. Everybody's benefiting. The citizens are going to have more household income for their disposal, because for you to have a massive drop in that fuel price, and when they have more household income, then they buy more products. Aggregate demand increases, GDP increases. Our MSMEs, about 42 million, they're going to be, laughing all the way to the bank, because their input costs will go down, the energy costs will go down, the transportation costs will go down, and then they will have more disposable. They can keep more jobs, they can create more jobs, they can produce more. Aggregate output goes up, GDP goes up. Nobody ever gives this guy any recognition for the impact of his entry into the market. He piloted this drop last year, December last year, and it cost him over 10 billion naira to pilot it across the country, and it kept the price. Now is a big thing because he bought his 1.7 trillion investment in those 10,000 trucks. The trucks are rolling out. Then he's taking the fuel to your doorstep, and he has brought down the price, the limit to 250,000 barrels, so liter, to make sure, and then even giving you, he will bring the fuel to you and give you 10 days, something you could even sell in 5 days, give you 10-day credit limit.
But Prof, with his interventions, we understand the fuel prices are coming down from where it used to be.
With speed.
Only recent times, it cut down the price downward, and of course the marketers will have no choice than to follow suit. Do you think the fears of the marketers is gradually being established? The fact that he's coming into the market, though he's not really playing at the downstream, but his impact is in a way affecting the marketers negatively. What do you think?
It's not negative. Are you telling me, do you know who gains most? It's the government. Central Bank gains a lot from he projects $6.4 billion revenue just on 2 items, fertilizer and polypropylene. Who is laughing? Is the CBN, because we're having less pressure on forex. So less import of fuel, less pressure on forex, and more forex coming to the country. Is it the government that is not happy? The government is happy because you could see the inflation crashing.
But some people are...
And they're only talking about food. Food is a major one, no doubt about, because food inflation has gone down, but the other indices of inflation are influenced by energy. So they are heading crashing down.
My point is that the marketers, the fuel marketers, is there any way they can be absorbed or they can have a proper cooperation with Dangote Refinery? It's more like a win-win for everybody.
It would tell me, why sustain loss for a marketer when somebody is bringing this fuel to you, to your doorstep, taking all the cost of transportation and delivering it to you, reducing the quantity so that IPMAN members who are over 60% can have the fuel. And then taking it down to the main critical, for fact, the mission critical establishments like airports, like telecom masts, and that need them. What else do you want? And taking an extra burden of 1.7 trillion, nothing, just to make sure that this product is delivered to everybody's doorstep. And it's encouraging other refiners come on board. $50 billion is going to own the new refinery. Bua is putting his own in it. This is not the behavior of a man who wants to monopolize this country's fuel. And then somebody else is coming on in Lagos, another refiner, 3 modular refiner. He's saying to them, come on, man. All these people are not going to be producing for just $50 million barrel a day. Already, he has exceeded 50 million barrel a day. It is because we want to have a fuel refining hub for Africa in Nigeria. Look, Texas has only 20 billion proven reserve barrel. We have 37. And they have 32 refineries. We're only talking about 6 or 7. There are 32 refineries.
But Prof, I'm concerned as well. More refineries are coming in, but is there enough crude available to service this refinery? We're having a conversation behind the scene before we came on board. Dangote has only been given 70,000 barrels as we speak for a refinery that is close to 700,000 barrels per day and projected to get to 1.4 million barrels per day by 2030.
2 things. The PIA law says you have to satisfy local refining demand before exporting. The problem was that they were not being implemented. Because based on that, they should have been having enough fuel, enough crude to refine, but they're importing and paying extra premium to buy from second hand. That's what they're going to do. And then, of course, it all came to a head, as you saw, and this guy had to just step aside. But it's not Uhuru yet, because that battle has not been resolved. And then 2 things. I have recommended and continue to recommend to federal government to impose non-DCO compliance tax of minimum of 5%. Why is that? Because if the law says you must give the crude to them, somebody that has 700,000 barrel requirement, you are giving him 100,000, then tax the other 600 if they doesn't come to you, and then let that money go to government. Because that extra $3 you will charge them as tax is actually less than what Dangote pays as premium. He's paying 3.5 to 5 premium to get it from second hand. It's unfair. And even to tell you this, apart from asking government to do that ad valorem tax or that levy, I've also fought alongside with Ministry of Science and Technology and the Raw Materials Research Council to have another bill, 30% mandatory value addition bill on our raw materials. Now, both houses of assembly, Senate, and they passed it. It's sitting on the desk of the president. President signed this bill. It's been on your table for 6 months so that you conclude this project you have started. Do this, because that is what will send the signal to look. Domestic crude produced onshore, let it be refined here. You can deal with your offshore. Sign that so that all this palaver will stop. And this country will take off. Our industrialization program will take off.
Talking about industrialization, which is indeed a very, very important to Nigeria. Dangote is indeed anchoring that as well. But do you see policies of government in any way killing, maybe bad policies, so to say, killing the industrialization? Do you see sincerity on the part of government to industrialize the economy? Well,
you know, the situation has been an entrenched one. Honestly, it's a pre-colonial, where they designed our governance and industry and government MDAs. They all designed, the way they are designed is to perpetuate the dependence. And that's why we have our special international division of labor say we have to produce raw materials, which includes crude and solid mineral, and send it out there for them to refine and bring for us to consume. So once you get only 10 to 15% of raw material price in a value chain, you're going to have to look for money to buy 100% the value on the other side. That's why you are looking for subsidy. So you don't displace this overnight. It's a battle. Dangote has won phase 1 of that battle in a narrow area of downstream, but it's not by any time the end. Why are the countries in francophone countries jumping up and down and doing kudu? It's the same battle of economic sovereignty. That's what they're fighting. And then here, we are now beginning to face the reality. that we have to escape this import dependency so that you can control your economy. Produce what you consume and consume what you produce as a first step. Because you are actually focusing on the raw materials that God has given you, which is agro product, solid mineral, and raw and the crude and gas. You are just focusing there because you have a right to add value to what God has given you.
Absolutely.
Before you come to the other frontiers of technology. I want to assemble mobile phone and then do car assembly and all that. That one they come. Sort this one out. This is the battle line for your survival.
Indeed, very, very important. Talking about, local competition now at this point now. We know there was a trade war. We look at internal trade war between Dangote and, of course, the NMDPRA and, of course, NUPRC as well. The two, heads of those agencies have been replaced already. Apparently, we don't know what transpired between them. With them and, of course, the federal government, why they were replaced at that point in time. But there were a lot of allegations, which you are privy to, and, of course, the public also are aware of course, from Dangote as well. But do you think some of the policies of the NMDPRA and, of course, the NUPRC, by way of giving out license for importation, is more like a sabotage to the larger economy?
Without a doubt. With all the things that are there, with all the capacities that are proven. And in your program, I cried out to the CEO, go and visit Dangote. Please just go and visit so that you can establish the volume that is actually being refined and then establish the quality of the laboratories. Go and visit. The president has gone there. But you saw that it fell on deaf ear and the rest of it is history. But the fact is that we have to move forward. You know, the new people are on board. You don't know what they're going to want to do. But I think that NNPC should get out of the downstream because you are not producing any fuel in the midstream. So what are you doing there? You're consuming our dollar, buying, importing fuel. I mean, you cannot have government fighting against government. You know, government has interest in Dangote, as well as every Nigerian citizen is going to get and buy share by the next 1 or 2 months. So what are we talking about? So we should stop those distortions caused by our own NNPC and then get on with the business. They have a lot of work to do upstream. They don't have a downstream refining capacity that is adding up to anything. Sell those. And I say sell it free. Sell it to management buyout. All those more oil majors, let them have it. So that there could be peace. And let us all compete. Let Nigerians be the beneficiary. You know, that's the point.
But in terms of the body language of the African richest man, talking about Aliko Dangote, we understand he has invested so much. $20 billion is not small money to build a refinery and, of course, every other thing that he has done for the country. But do you think his body language suggests that he wants to monopolize the market, which you know, and I myself know, it's one of the fear that the marketers have expressed. Many of them were spoken to secretly.
Not even in his wildest dream, if that is his dream, there's no chance that it can happen. He's going to his investment will be about 40 billion in the next 2 years, and then he's working to have $100 billion cash flow turnover. Nigerian government is aiming from his own
and
input alone to get $21.1 billion revenue to federal government. And then his market capitalization could take him to $200 billion to become the 9th richest man in the world. The thing is this, he is saying to others, come on, the more the merrier. That is not the language of somebody who wants to monopolize what? This guy doesn't have to sell one.
The language and body language can be different.
He doesn't need to sell 1 liter of petrol in Nigeria. He doesn't need to. Because he's in a free trade zone, he can export all his products. But what he is fighting for that is costing him over 4 trillion naira is the iniquity and the structural emasculation of our economy. That's what he's fighting for. You have to unlock it because what are you doing? You are condemning $50 billion investment going to Ondo. You are saying to Bua, sorry, your project is dead on arrival. You are telling other people, refine other people, they'll have no chance of seeing the light of day. And then you have all these people, Trafigura, Mercuria, Glencore, Vitol, all these people that have tied up all our export of, oh, come on.
Prof, as we wrap up the conversation now, let's look at what the changes at NMDPRA and, of course, NUPRC. Do you think that change may, to some extent, resolve the crisis that we have in that space?
It has to resolve the crisis because, what's this guy? Fidel Castro says if you don't take a revolution, the revolution will overtake you. Let the new people please go and have a visit so that we can all sit down and have a discussion. You can't just veer away on your own track. It doesn't, because you are a product of NNPC in one way or the other anyway. And the NNPC is a private company. So we don't want a situation where NNPC runs the regulator, or the regulator depends on the NNPC. You've got to do your work. First, go and establish the volume of fuel that is being consumed in the country. And stop all this shenanigans about claiming this, that. Stop it. Focus on what is real. 2, go and establish a lab. Or go and see the one that is established and working. Neither an NNPC nor yourself has a functioning lab. So, and then thirdly, go and take measurements so that you can advise NUPRC on the correct capacity. Don't tell us it's 18 million litre a day. When this guy is doing 50 million litre a day, what is all this nonsense? So that we will know where we are. And then encourage, you see, if this MD, if the CEO does well, he has the whole of Africa, because you'll be the sample, you'll be the example, the leading example of how this industry is managed. So your job is cut out for you. You could even go and represent us in OPEC and all that. Do the job.
Indeed.
That's the point. Do the job. Do your job.
Patriotism is key here.
I mean, we have to unlock the potential of our company, of our country, and then let our people be on the driving seat. Why shouldn't all of us come together and, okay, the import of fuel in Africa is $20 billion. Nigeria is doing 10 billion of it. Why don't we get that entire market?
Before we go in 30 seconds, do you sense international conspiracy in this?
But what are you talking about? They are. That is the thing, because this is part of an agenda, a pre-colonial agenda of emasculation of our economy. And it's not just Nigeria, it's everywhere. It's the whole of West Africa. It's in Africa, many parts of Africa. And I've told you an example of how the French people are dealing with their own. So they are doing it with the barrel of the gun. But we don't want that here. We want to use raw economic power to restore our control over our natural resources.
Indeed. Which is very, very, very important. Thank you so much, Professor Ken Ife, Chief Economic Strategist at ECOWAS Commission, and of course, an ambassador of London Enterprise. We appreciate your contribution.
Thank you for having me
on the show. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. A compliment of the season.
And you too.
All right. We'll go on a very quick break. When we come back, we'll look at another very important topic. Don't go away.